My father-in-law was hitting my daughter with his belt over and over while his mother counted each strike. My wife stood there watching, convinced I was away on a business trip. What they didn't expect was me walking through the front door with 2 police officers beside me. When I held up my phone and showed them the live video, the words I said next left them completely frozen in fear. The living room of the Hamilton estate, designed to impress with its vaulted ceilings and original artwork, felt less like a showpiece and more like a crime scene. Which, Graham supposed, was exactly what it was. He sat on an antique sofa, as far from Catherine as the room allowed, and watched Horace Hamilton try to control a situation that had already spiraled beyond his reach. The old man had aged a decade in the 30 minutes since the police arrived. His face was gray and slack, but his voice still carried that imperious edge. "This is a family matter," Horace was saying to Detective Murphy. "Graham has always been dramatic. We were disciplining Emma for lying about breaking a vase. She needed to learn." "Mr. Hamilton," Murphy's voice was flat, professional. "I've been doing this job for 16 years. I've seen a lot of child abuse and I've heard every excuse. So let me save us both some time. Nothing you're about to say will make 47 lashes with a belt sound reasonable. In my day, in your day, it was still illegal." Murphy cut him off. "It's called assault. And since the victim is a minor, it's felony child abuse." Graham watched Marjorie, who sat ramrod straight in her chair, her hands folded in her lap. She hadn't spoken since the police arrived, but her eyes kept darting to the stairs. Calculating. Always calculating. Catherine stood by the fireplace, her arms wrapped around herself. She'd tried to approach Graham twice, and both times he'd held up a hand to stop her. He couldn't look at her without seeing Emma's face on that screen, couldn't hear her voice without remembering, "Yes, Daddy, I'm sorry." The EMT who'd been upstairs, a competent-looking woman named Marina Schwartz, came down the stairs with her partner. She made eye contact with Murphy and gave a small nod. "Detective, we need to transport the child to Connecticut Children's. She's got 47 separate lacerations on her back and buttocks, 3 of them deep enough to need stitches. There's also bruising on her arms and legs, consistent with being forcibly restrained. She's severely traumatized and keeps asking if she's in trouble." Catherine made a sound like she'd been punched. Graham felt nothing. He'd used up all his feelings watching the video, watching his daughter beg them to stop. "Mr. French, you should ride with your daughter," Schwartz said. "She's asking for you." Graham stood, and Horace moved to intercept him. "Now wait just a minute. We have rights now." Graham's voice was quiet, but something in it made Horace step back. "You had rights. You had the right to be Emma's great-grandfather, to love her and protect her. You gave that up when you put a belt to her skin. So now you get to stand here and wait for your lawyers to tell you how badly you've screwed up your lives. And I get to go take care of my daughter." He looked at Catherine for the first time since the police had finished upstairs. "I'll call you with updates about Emma. That's all. Graham, please. I didn't know it would be that bad. I thought they were just going to talk to her." "You watched," he said, his voice devoid of emotion. "The camera caught your voice, Catherine. You stood there and watched them whip our daughter 47 times, and you did nothing. He's my father. I can't just, yes, you can. That's what being a parent means." He turned to Murphy. "What happens now with them?" "We'll be filing charges. Felony child abuse for Mr. Hamilton, potentially for Mrs. Hamilton as well. Your wife's status depends on the state's attorney's review. There's an argument for complicity, but also for coercion, given the family dynamics." Graham nodded. "Whatever Mauricio decides, I'll cooperate fully." He left without looking back, following the EMTs to the ambulance. Emma was strapped to a gurney, her small body looking even smaller under the white blankets. When she saw him, her face crumpled. "Daddy, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to break Graham's vase. I promise I didn't mean to. Shoo, baby. None of this is your fault. You're not in trouble. You're never going to be in trouble." He climbed into the ambulance beside her, took her small hand in his. "I've got you now. You're safe." The ambulance pulled away from the Hamilton estate, its siren silent. Through the back window, Graham could see Horace and Marjorie standing in the doorway, Catherine between them, a tableau of a family that had just realized its power was an illusion. His phone buzzed. A text from Mauricio. Asterisk got the video files. "This is ironclad. They're done. You okay?" Asterisk Graham typed back with one hand. Asterisk getting there. "Thanks for moving fast. Asterisk asterisk always. Emma comes first. We'll bury these bastards." Asterisk at the hospital. The intake process was a blur. A social worker named Pearl Meyer sat with him while the doctors examined Emma. She was gentle but thorough. "Your daughter is going to need significant therapy, Mr. French. This kind of trauma doesn't just go away. But kids are resilient, especially when they have a parent who fights for them." She paused. "I have to ask. Your wife, she isn't here." "My wife is at her father's house." She witnessed the abuse and didn't intervene. Pearl's expression didn't change, but she made a note. "I see. We'll need to coordinate with DCF about custody arrangements going forward. I want full custody. Emergency protective order, if possible. We can help with that. Given the circumstances, I don't think it will be difficult to arrange. While Emma was being treated, Graham stepped into the hallway and called his mother, Donna. She answered on the second ring. Graham, honey, I've been worried sick. Mauricio called me. How's my grandbaby? Physically, she'll heal. Emotionally. His voice cracked for the first time. Mom, they hurt her so badly. And Catherine just stood there. I know, baby. I know. Donna had never liked the Hamiltons. You bring Emma to me when she's released. I'll take care of her while you deal with this mess. I'm going to destroy them, Mom. Legally, socially, financially. All of it. Good. They deserve it. But Graham, don't lose yourself doing it. Don't become what you hate. He hung up. His phone rang again. Catherine. He almost didn't answer. What? Graham, please. You have to understand. They're my family. They raised me. I know it was wrong, but I froze. I couldn't stop. I want to know one thing. If I hadn't shown up with the police, if I'd actually been in Boston like you thought, what would you have told me when I got home? Silence. Catherine, what would you have told me? Her voice was small, broken. That she fell, playing in the garden. Right. You would have lied to me again. Just like you've been lying every time Emma came home with bruises or seemed scared. How long has this been going on, Catherine? It was never like this before, I swear. Sometimes they'd spank her if she was bad, but nothing like, how long? Maybe 6 months. But Graham, it was just normal discipline, what they did to me growing up. I didn't think. He hung up. 6 months. His phone buzzed again immediately. A text from Catherine. Asterisk, please don't do this. They're still my family. Daddy made a mistake, but we can fix this. For Emma's sake, we need to stay together. Asterisk, for Emma's sake. He blocked Catherine's number, then called his lawyer, Ken Raymond. Ken, I need you to file for emergency custody and divorce papers tonight, if possible. Ken didn't hesitate. I heard about what happened. News travels fast. I'll have the papers ready by morning. Graham, this is going to get ugly. The Hamiltons will fight. Let them. I have video evidence, police reports, and a daughter with 47 lacerations on her back. They can fight all they want. One question, Ken said. Do you want to pursue a civil suit against the Hamiltons in addition to the criminal charges? Graham hadn't thought that far ahead, but now that Ken mentioned it. Yes. For Emma's therapy costs, her pain and suffering. Everything. I want them to pay for what they did in every possible way. After he hung up, Graham sat in a plastic chair outside Emma's room and pulled up his phone. The video was still there, backed up and secure. He forced himself to watch it again. All 47 strikes. Marjorie counting. Horace explaining that this hurts me more than it hurts you. Catherine's weak protests. He needed to remember this. Because in the days ahead, Catherine would cry and her lawyers would paint him as vindictive. This video was what was best for Emma. Making sure it never happened again. Dr. Boyd Henson, the attending physician, came out of Emma's room an hour later. Your daughter is going to be fine physically. We've treated and bandaged the lacerations. She'll be sore, and there may be some scarring, but nothing permanent. Henson's expression darkened. Psychologically, that's above my pay grade, but I've called in a child psychologist, Dr. Faith Holder. She's excellent. Mr. French, I've been a pediatrician for 30 years. This wasn't discipline. This was torture. Detective Murphy called later that night. Just wanted to give you a heads up. We arrested Horace and Marjorie Hamilton about an hour ago. Felony child abuse, second-degree assault, and risk of injury to a minor for him. Accomplice charges for her. They're being held on $500,000 bail each. They'll make bail. Oh, absolutely. But they'll be arraigned in the morning, and the judge will issue a no-contact order with Emma. They won't be able to get anywhere near her. And my wife. Murphy hesitated. That's trickier. The state's attorney is reviewing her involvement. There's an argument she was under duress, but there's also the argument she had a duty to protect her child and failed. Mauricio will make the call. Emma stirred around midnight. Daddy? Are Grammy and Grandpa Horace mad at me? His heart broke. No, baby. They're never going to hurt you again. I promise. But I broke the vase. I deserved, Emma, look at me. He waited until her eyes met his. Nobody deserves to be hit. Not for breaking a vase, not for anything. What they did to you is wrong. It was against the law. She nodded slowly, but he could see the confusion in her eyes. The Hamiltons had spent months telling her this was normal, that this was love. It would take time to undo that. Is Mommy going to be there? She asked, her voice small. The million-dollar question. I don't know yet, baby. We're figuring that out. I don't want to go back to Grammy Marjorie's house. You never have to, he said, his voice a raw promise. I promise you that. She fell back asleep holding his hand, and Graham sat in the darkness, planning. The Hamiltons thought their money would protect them. They didn't understand. He'd spent his career dismantling the financial empires of people who thought they were untouchable. And he was just getting started. The arraignment was a formality. Horace and Marjorie pleaded not guilty, looking diminished in the harsh courtroom lighting. The judge, a no-nonsense woman named Neva Schaefer, issued the no-contact order with a stern warning. Counselor, your clients are accused of whipping a 6-year-old child 47 times. Excessive is not the word I'd use to describe my order. Outside, Graham met with Catherine at their house. He recorded the conversation on his phone. He watched as she repeated the same excuses, the same deflections. Finally, he played his hand. You're enjoying this, she said, her voice turning cold. You've always hated my family. I'm protecting my daughter. Fine. But Daddy's lawyers are looking into you. They'll say you're abusive. Graham almost laughed. Let them. But while they're looking, you might want to ask your father about the Hamilton Foundation's tax filings. The IRS is very interested in people who abuse nonprofit status. Her face went pale. You're bluffing. Am I? He asked softly. Tell Horace that if he comes after me, I'll bury him. The criminal charges are just the beginning. By the time I'm done, the Hamilton name will be synonymous with fraud and child abuse. He handed her the divorce papers. Sign them or don't. Either way, this marriage is over. You have 48 hours to move out. The explosion came faster than he expected. Graham had compiled years of Horace's sloppy financial dealings, using the family foundation as a personal slush fund, burying an internal report on a drug trial with dangerous side effects, and sent the package to an investigative journalist he knew. The story broke on a Wednesday. Hamilton Pharmaceuticals buried dangerous drug trial data. By Thursday, the company's stock had dropped 40%. By Friday, the FDA and SEC had opened formal investigations. The criminal trial was a slaughter. Mauricio played the full, unedited video. The jury was out for less than 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Horace was sentenced to 7 to 10 years. Marjorie got 5 to 7. Given their ages, it was a life sentence. Catherine, facing a misdemeanor charge of failure to report, pleaded guilty and received 2 years of probation, mandatory therapy, and a fine. The civil suit was even more devastating. The jury awarded Emma $15 million in damages. The Hamilton estate, the artwork, the trust funds, it was all liquidated to pay the judgment. The Hamilton empire, built over generations, was dismantled in less than a year. 2 years later, Graham sat in the backyard of a new house, a modest place with a big lawn and the swing set Emma had always wanted. She was 8 now, and the laughter came easier. She was still in therapy with Dr. Faith, but the nightmares were less frequent. Catherine's car pulled into the driveway. After a year of intense therapy and supervised visits, she had earned back unsupervised visitation. She was different now, quieter, humbler. The imperious Hamilton edge was gone, replaced by a deep, abiding sadness. Hi, she said, watching Emma on the swings. Hi. I heard Mother died, Catherine said softly. Marjorie had passed away in a nursing home a month prior. Horace had died in the prison infirmary 6 months into his sentence. I saw that, Graham said. She sent letters, Catherine said. I never read them. My therapist said I needed to break the cycle. She looked at him, her eyes clear for the first time in years. Thank you for what you did, Graham. I know you hate me, but you saved her. You saved me too, in a way. Graham didn't know what to say. He didn't hate her anymore. He just felt a profound sorrow for the woman she could have been. I did it for Emma. I know. She watched their daughter, a small, resilient girl pumping her legs, trying to swing high enough to touch the sky. She's happy. Yes, Graham said. She is. He had won. He had destroyed the Hamiltons, protected his daughter, and secured her future. But watching Emma laugh in the afternoon sun, he realized his victory wasn't in their ruin, but in her recovery. The Hamiltons thought the most dangerous people were the ones who smiled while sharpening their knives. They were wrong. The most dangerous person was a father who had nothing left to lose, and a daughter he would do anything to protect. And in the quiet of his new life, surrounded not by wealth or status, but by the sound of his daughter's laughter, Graham French had finally found peace.